Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Tourism Means Business today. The session that we'll be doing next is a business tourism London looks forward. So my name is Joshua Novick, and I am the Vice President for Business Tourism based in North America. I hope that you know me and my colleagues who you'll be meeting soon, but if you don't, I hope this is an insightful session for you. So quickly, I want to go over our agenda for today's session. It will start with an update from my UK and Europe counterparts, Barbara Jameson and Paul Black. After that, we'll segue into an update on association, citywide, and major events with Suzanne Singleton and Georgina Warren. And I think through these sessions, you'll get a really good look as to what we are seeing and anticipating for the year forward and what we're doing as part of the recovery process to get London back up and running as we look forward. So without further ado, let's move forward and get a conversation started around the UK and Europe business coming into London. So I'd like to welcome Paul Black, the head of UK, and Barbara Jameson, the head of Europe, to the stage, so to speak, and we'll have a little conversation about what we're seeing moving forward. So I'm going to start with Paul. Paul, what insights and feedback have you seen about the return of live events from the UK audience? And is 2021 likely, or what are you seeing from your clients?
Well, hey, Josh, and good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? I think firstly, I think would encourage partners, if they get the chance, just to watch our Convention Bureau rendezvous this morning. We had American Express meetings and events, Top Banana, as well as Sleek, all talking exactly that. And the good news is they're all saying there is that good appetite to return to live, most likely Q4, so after September, looking further ahead. But maybe worth pointing to the latest report that we've seen from MIA. So that was around 238 responses from corporates, associations, as well as agents. So obvious things really, budgets aren't expected to return to pre-COVID levels until 2023. There's still that big uncertainty around future restrictions and their impact on, capacities and the COVID secure protocols that will affect that delegate experience. However, our vaccine rollout is going well, so that will help us build that confidence. The top stats that certainly resonate with me were 84% of agents, 42% of planners have events scheduled for Q4, Q3 or Q4. But interestingly, 50% of those all events will have some kind of hybrid format. Good, strong performing sectors, pharma, educational and financial sectors. And certainly if you look at the media, some of these big agencies are saying that they are getting inquiries for live events Q3 and Q4. I guess one other thing, which is a bit more anecdotal, but we spoke to the corporates from EMA. They've got 1,400 corporate event organizers. And it's very anecdotal, but they're dividing their event activity, if you like, between those three silos. What can stay virtual, what has to be live, and what can be hybrid, with a view of hopefully some kind of internal events will come back to fruition, looking at Q3 and Q4. So yes, tentatively, hopefully we'll get some good business Q3 and Q4 from our domestic traffic.
That's some really great insight and really a positive for us to hear. So along those lines, you've mentioned hybrid and, kind of a scaled return to events. What themes are you seeing for promotion of events in London this year and next?
Sure. Well, I think this will mirror across our social media as well as our promotion. So the key things that we're talking about and looking at, and this is certainly what's reflected and what feedback we get from agencies that we speak to regularly, but innovation and technology, obviously very broad, but really looking at that new tech that gives great delegate live experience, that heightens those hybrid packages or new studios that are being created. That's really gone well so far, and more we're pushing further ahead. I think definitely CSR, sustainability, those positive impact stories. It's got to be authentic work, talking about commitments or reducing those emissions and food waste, because we're in a big context of the COP conference coming to Glasgow in November. So there is going to be a massive focus of that. And also for London, it is a huge component of the city's recovery that's been pushed out by the administration as well as various other bodies. So definitely that. I think from our partners' perspective, definitely send through all this stuff. Emily's going to kindly be the receiver for all this so we can put across our social and newsletters. But Also include things like case studies. Our sector strength is really key, particularly when we talk about hybrid events. So whether it's those traditional events like sectors like medical or tech, finance, if you have any case studies that your clients are willing to share, definitely send that through. But also maybe growing sectors like SaaS or fintech, gaming, retail tech, they're all pretty good. But as always, those are the fundamentals, yes, but always inspiration. We're very blessed what we have in London. It will come back, and we'll come back strong. So it's those new experiences, those new openings, those new group packages. We've got to inspire people to come back, and our partners, we can't wait to get stuck into that. So those are the key content I think we'll be pushing across our social channels as well as our sales activities with those kind of broad themes.
No, that's great. And I think one of the things that we've been hearing all day is a really high level of cautious optimism, which is fantastic. Along those lines, I think the partners and the members are really keen on getting involved and stuck in with all of this recovery work. So can you tell us a little bit about the key activities that you've got planned specifically for the UK market and to get those meetings and incentives into the capital city?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think obviously a big sort of adjustment that LMP has done, during this is that now we obviously have that domestic focus, which, certainly for the foreseeable future will be the sort of key recovery market that we need to, get stuck in, is for want of a better words. So, looking across those activities, so obviously targeting corporates directly. So we do that working with EMA UK alongside our other activities. So we look to do 4 events across the year, which will give 5-minute elevator pitch sessions to our partners at a small cost. So we'll have 3 spots available per event. So any details, give us a shout. Agency activations, we're doing that across the year, but we have 2 events with MiceBook who have done, a fantastic job during this whole 12 months of, keeping the industry connected. So we're going to have 1 event in London, 1 event in Manchester. So again, we're going to have some elevator pitch sessions available for our partners, again, at small price. So give us a shout. Meeting show September, we'll have around 6 pods available. So more details, hook me up. We're working with Tomorrow's Talent, which is an initiative with sort of future leaders of event agencies. So we're doing an activation in September. So looking for accommodation partner with that, which should be really exciting. And then more broadly speaking, whilst we're just working out and obviously half an eye on what's going to happen in April with these pilots and what that means, but we will have some presence, I think, at Confex, because obviously it's the first big business show straight out the traps. If all things go to plan. So whilst we may not have partner pods, we will have a presence there, as well as other things such as CHS and ongoing agency visits. I think some partners may have seen the work we've done with Neil's team at Delegate Wranglers. So we did that hybrid episode back in October. Sadly, all the others got delayed because of the lockdown. But we're doing one on the 8th of April on the Global Meetings Industry Day. So we're talking about all big refurbs. So again, positive stories and how these hotels getting ready to open. We're doing another webinar, just, practical stuff on what people are doing ready to reopen. And then we'll do further bulletins looking at going into the new financials. So most importantly is that, we're on this journey all together. So all this information that our partners can provide, we'll push out and promote as best we possibly can.
Oh, that's great. Now, thanks for that. It sounds like you're going to have a very busy few months moving forward. And I'm sure everyone's really excited to get involved and support the work. So thanks for that. And so jumping across the channel, so to speak, I'd love to ask Barbara a few questions because even though the continent of Europe is not too far away, I'm sure the perspectives are a little bit different given the current climate that we're in. So can we start off? Why don't you share a little bit about what you've been doing to prepare London's recovery from a European market perspective?
Yeah, thanks very much, Josh. Yes, as you rightly say, Europe is very near to the UK, but what I've been seeing is kind of a very mixed picture with sentiment certainly towards restarting the industry, different concerns, not only about the pandemic, but also in our case about Brexit. So what I've been concentrating on over the last few weeks is research. The Europeans, very much like our own industry, they have been on furlough, there have been takeovers, in some of the big cities, i.e. Paris. A lot of the agencies have moved out of Paris into their regional offices or even working from home. So it's been extremely important for me to really now look at the new landscape that we're having to work with and who is actually still in business and who, above all, is still going to be organising international events. And alongside that research, which has enabled me now to have a really, really good clean database in France, Belgium, Holland and Germany, I've been looking at some sentiment research, really most importantly about Brexit. And again, there's a mixed picture. There are agencies there that have completely discounted London without really knowing too much about Brexit. And countries like Ireland will be benefiting. That was expressed by a few agencies. But for others, they do really want to organise events in London, but they're still confused about rules, paperwork. And we're working with Visit Britain very closely to produce a very clear Q&A document that will give the answers to any of these concerns, and that will be published very soon. Others feel a bit disconnected because we left the European Union, but others are really, really positive about how we've handled everything, including the vaccination process, believe it or not. So they're actually looking at London with admiration. They're actually looking forward to bringing events to London, especially as we have so many new hotel brands opening up over the next year or so and new venues. So it really is a mixed picture, but definitely this work really narrowing down, who are the corporates now, which teams are they working with? A lot of them are working with their tech teams to organise events, which agencies have taken over other agencies, and who are really, like the core clients that I should be really going out to market with our partners has been very, very beneficial.
That's great. You've been obviously preparing for the return of events to London from your market. So I think a lot of the partners similar to the UK are wondering what activities can they join to help support all the work that you've been doing?
Yes, so I'm putting together flexible activities that can be quickly scaled up when appropriate. And the key at the moment to the European market is to be relevant, and it's to do an activity at the most appropriate time. If we look at the feedback from Germany, the Germans, they're facing, their view is they're facing a pandemic. They do not want anybody selling to them from any country or any hotel at the moment. So we've got a number of activities that we're planning in Germany later in the year, and these will be virtual sales missions. There'll be virtual networking events, probably with a smaller number of partners and a smaller number of clients. And then we are also looking at the gap that is being left because IMEX Frankfurt is not taking place this year. So the German Convention Bureau actually, and a couple of other convention bureaus, we're kind of discussing, is there a space there where we could actually collaborate? We could actually produce our own event in May. So we are exploring that option. But the main theme for all of my events will be the connection between London and Europe. And it's all about the European DNA, because this will address, some of that sentiment towards Brexit. It will bring us closer to our European markets. And I'm actually going to be starting off in April with a monthly, very informal drop-in for clients. And this can be over coffee or afternoon tea. It will be with European partner team members based in London, the hotels, the venues. Some of these drop-ins will only be in French, or they'll only be in German, and others will be a fun mix of languages. So we really want to get that, French sales director of a hotel talking about their favourite places, what they've been doing, what they've actually been working on, how they've been improving their product during the lockdown, and now looking forward to what we're all looking forward to. So that's going to be very informal, and that will be completely free for partners, and that's going to take place on a monthly basis. As things open up, like Paul, I will then be doing some of our own virtual events. They might be client roundtables where we have a guest speaker, and then larger, but not too big, workshops, which will be more structured, where we will actually be having some one-to-one meetings between partners and clients. And then moving later into the year, I'm hoping that we will be attending IBTM. We're talking to Reed Exhibitions at the different setups that they're looking at. They haven't made their final decision yet because it will take place at the end of the year. But we will then be hoping that we will be able to actually be bringing over clients to London. We're holding some private carriages with Eurostar because the transportation element and sustainable transportation element has been highlighted as a key decision-making factor. So we can actually start to bring some of those key agencies back to London to look at the new developments in London. So it's really a gradual approach, adapting to the market needs, but really having some different affordable options that most of our partners would then be able to participate in.
No, that's absolutely great. And I know you touched upon collaborating with some other European cities. And, hopefully most people know that you're on the board of European Cities Marketing. So I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about what other European cities are focusing on right now in comparison to London, or if we're kind of all on the same page.
Sure. So last week we had actually our annual conference at European Cities Marketing, and two of London's biggest competitors, Barcelona and Amsterdam, presented their brand new strategy. And the common theme with both of their strategies was that they've really reflected on some of their negative, I think, messages that they've been getting from clients, and they've really acted upon that. So if we look at Amsterdam, and this is for general tourism as well as business tourism, they really want to get away, although they want still to be seen to be a liberal city, they want to get away from the stag party red light district image that Amsterdam has. They're really focusing now on culture. Where I'm seeing a big difference with Amsterdam is they're putting an awful lot of resource into the MICE sector now. Because of Brexit again, lots of European headquarters have set up in Amsterdam. And, they are, like we do, focusing on the sectors, and they're really ramping that promotion of the MICE product up a lot. And we'll see that over the next year. Barcelona, again, they have reflected on the fact that, they've been seen as not to be such a safe city. We've, I think, gone to events where we've seen pickpockets, there's been muggings, that has improved over the last few years, but they are really promoting themselves now as a safe city. And they've also had a mayor that publicly said that she didn't like tourists, and they were suffering from, hopefully this will come back, but over tourism. So they're actually partnering with other regions nearby to Barcelona, other cities, and they're really stepping up their gateway role because they want to get repeat visitors back. But they've always been, a competitor to us for business events. I would say that I think London, we've focused on our own sectors for the past 10 years. So although we're seeing a lot of European cities looking at their business sectors now, it is something actually that London has been doing for the last 10 years. So I would say that we still are ahead of a lot of the European competitors.
Absolutely. That's great to hear. I think our time is almost up, but I thought I'd ask both of you a fun question. As lockdown is starting to be phased out, even though you're both based in London, we haven't necessarily been able to enjoy it. For both of you, what are the things that you're looking forward to doing most when we can enjoy London to its fullest?
Shall I go first? First thing I want to get on the Eurostar.
But not to leave London. Just a quick round trip, just to get on a train, right?
With our partners.
Exactly.
Welcoming the clients to King's Cross and Pancras, or taking those clients out to Paris and doing an event.
Absolutely. And how about you, Paul?
I also want to go to a nice restaurant as well.
Absolutely. Paul?
Pretty straightforward. Pub, restaurant, either order. See my friends, see my work colleagues, see everyone. Yeah, so can't wait for that. Very excited. Fingers crossed these next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Paul and Barbara, for your time today.
Thanks.
It's been great. And just as always, we're all accessible. So all of you out there listening, just like myself, Paul and Barbara are at the ready. Please reach out with any questions and know that we still remain at your disposal for anything. So thanks so much for your time today. And we are going to move forward. So now that we've had an update on the UK and Europe, we're going to head over to a session with Suzanne and Georgina and delve into the world of associations, citywide, and major events. So welcome to Suzanne and Georgina to the stage.
Thank you.
Well, welcome Suzanne and Georgina to the stage, so to speak. Thanks so much for taking time out of your days to join us at Tourism Means Business. If it's okay, I'm going to start with a few questions for Suzanne on the association's landscape looking into London. So I'm just wondering, similar to what we talked about with Paul and Barb, looking at the past year, what's been your main focus and how has that shaped how you're looking forward to the next year as you plan to attract more associations into our city?
Well, hi, Josh, and hi, everybody. It's lovely to be here today. And yes, absolutely, this year has been a year like no other. So I think that we can reflect on a lot of work taking place at this time last year, of trying to support our partners, trying to support as well our clients on really understanding what our associations were going to do in this space. So, mass cancellation, which was pretty devastating. Our members, associations, are membership organizations. And when you get to a crisis, it is up to the associations to support their members. And that's absolutely what they did. And actually, funnily enough, we have done exactly the same with the associations that we are members of. We really lent on them for support and insights and information as we sort of navigated our way through. So a lot of cancellation, a lot of switching to virtual, a lot of kind of sussing out from their members what they wanted to do, and then looking at our partners, trying to support them in moving some of these very large congresses. We had EASL was about to take place in April of last year. In fact, we first heard about the pandemic in March when they all came over for their board meeting. So we had a little bit of insight as to how it was going to go, probably about 2 weeks in advance because of what was happening in Europe. So yeah, I think we were kind of on the ground floor of it. And then we had to cancel EASL. I can happily say, however, that they are coming back. Oh, Josh.
Yep. So I'm wondering, all these changes and you're changing your focus. What does the pipeline look like moving forward into 22, 23, 24 and beyond?
Well, so it's good news. It really is positive. If we take ourselves back to sort of 2009, quite a long time ago, really there was one event. It was the Gastro Congress that really put London on the map for associations. And we have really, over that time, we have built London's position and have remained in the top 10 of the ICA rankings consistently for the last 7 years. So I think it's safe to say that as a destination, that hasn't changed. And, we do, and we had, and we still have a very strong pipeline. What is really, really good to see now is that the pipeline is refreshing. We're seeing new inquiries. We are bidding at the moment. We are actually fairly busy, not just moving events around from what we had before, but also seeing new and exciting events coming in. So we're very much looking at other sectors as well. We know we've always been very strong in the life sciences sector, and that's something that is continuing. But we're also really looking at other sectors. Tech is really strong, especially from the US, and urban. I think I spoke about that last year, and that trajectory has continued. So I think, I think we have everything to be positive about. 22 onwards, we have congresses coming in next year. We also have one that is for the back end of this year, and we're expecting that to be a hybrid. So they still want to go ahead. And we've got a pipeline up to 2029. So yeah, it's all out there.
That's incredible. No, that's really great news. And I think music to everyone's ears in the audience. So you're obviously very busy if you're looking to 2029 and beyond. So what is taking up your time now, and what are you focusing on currently as we move forward into the recovery?
Yeah, so I mean, absolutely, you're right. The RFPs are coming in. We have live bids on at the moment. I think we're in production of 3 new bids as we speak. We've already submitted about 3 this year already, and we have a strong pipeline coming in. I think we're looking at about 9 other new opportunities, not repeats. So yes, you're absolutely right. We're very busy, but actually we've changed the focus slightly, and I think this is good news for our partners. We're very much concentrating on the domestic market as being the first market of recovery. So we are looking at that market. We are currently doing some research on it, but we're leveraging our network. So APCO, which is the Association of British Professional Conference Organisers, who very often support the associations. So we're working a lot with them as well. So yeah, we're changing that focus. We very much want to work with our partners on their domestic market as well, and how we can really bring that city piece into the work that they're doing with the domestic market as well. So it's a sort of 3-pronged approach, and I think we'll be having a partner meeting for our association partners in May, really to sort of kick that off and to get everyone on board.
That's great. So you've obviously kept busy. So I'm wondering, do you have any special announcements that you can make?
Oh, well, I'm so glad you've asked me that question. Well, today we were able to announce that the European Society of Cardiology have made the decision to come back to London in 2024. Just a little bit of background to this. They first came to London in 2015. They are the largest European society and the largest congress. So it's over 30,000 delegates that we would expect at that event. It was 32,700, I think, in 2015, and it's grown since then. Sadly, they were supposed to be in London this August and made the very difficult decision to turn that into a virtual event this year. I think they felt that it would not work to try and do a live event, which we completely understood. But anyway, the commitment from them, we were actually bidding before we went into the pandemic for 2024. And it's really good to see that what we had bid for, and now we have won, they have managed to sort of stick to that plan. So we're absolutely delighted. And yes, the press release went out today. So do have a look in Conference News and any of the other channels.
Amazing. Well, congratulations on that. And the whole London community thanks you for your hard work towards bringing ESC and all of these other associations back to London.
Thanks, Josh.
So thank you. So quickly moving over to Georgina, who I would love to talk to you about your work with major events and city experiences. That you've obviously had a very busy year too, moving things and rearranging things. But before we get into what's actually going to happen the next year, I'd love for you to touch a little bit upon why major events and citywide events are so important to London.
Sure. Well, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I do think events offer this unparalleled opportunity to bring people together. And I think what's been really interesting about the pandemic is the thing that people have missed the most is shared experiences, is the people that they love, is their community. And so events are obviously the place where we come together and we share in that. There's a very real economic reason. We recently finished a study that identified that between 2017 and 2020, major events in London contributed 2.5 billion, in fact, over 2.5 billion to the London economy. So they're brilliant to be part of, but they also are serious contributors to our economy. They put bums on beds for a lot of our partners. They keep our restaurants busy and they animate the city. And that's not just for our visitors, that's for Londoners alike. So I could probably go on and about it. But I think the other dynamic to mention is that particularly with some of our bigger events, particularly on the sporting side, the rest of the world is seeing London. They're sharing in that moment, and it contributes to their consideration of us as a place to come, whether it's to study, to set up their business, to work. So they play a really important role, not just in the visitor economy, but in businesses choosing to relocate when they think about where their staff will be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have no small task in keeping London as vibrant as it's been moving forward. So on that note, what can we look forward to in London? I think we're all looking to what we can do in the coming months. So could you give us a glimpse into what's on the docket?
Sure. So, I mean, obviously, as all the other speakers this afternoon have talked about, we're in a state of flux. So everything we're approaching is very agile. We don't yet know what form of social distancing will apply for some of our events, depending on where they land. But there's oodles to look forward to. So some highlights I think it's worth pulling out are the Euros, which will be happening this summer between June and July. Later in the year, we have the Rugby League World Cup coming to London. And then really, I think it's going to be the return of all of those autumn winter festivals and some of our kind of winter dark festivals that you'll see coming back in a way that people can really engage on. We've just started work as part of the London Recovery on an animation strand for London. So how do we really activate those outdoor public spaces? How do we make the most of London's world-class calendar? Think about the seasons that we can really celebrate and provide reasons for Londoners to get back out when the time is right. That then trips over into the domestic market. And then ultimately we want to see the return of the international audience. If I want to talk about 2022, which we think is going to be a bumper year. I probably said I thought 2020 was going to be the last time we did one of these, but it really is going to be quite something because, of course, practically a lot of events have rescheduled and moved forward. So the calendar is going to be more congested and have a lot more on. But there are some really big events coming to town. The Commonwealth Games will be in Birmingham, but London will be hosting some of the cycling. It is, of course, the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, so we can expect London to be at the heart of some of those big ceremonial moments that we're world famous for. We've also got the Women's Euros, which will be held across England with the final again at Wembley. So those are just a few of the big moments that we can expect to be happening in town next year.
It's really exciting. I mean, I'm excited. I can't wait to get back to London to do some of these things. So what are, with all these things to look forward to, can you share what some of the trends that we as London and partners, as a London tourism and business community, what should we be on the lookout for?
Sure. So a couple of these are the same as I mentioned last year, but I think esports has been one of the few subsectors of the industry that's thrived. You know, they don't need live. People have spent a lot more time online and they've engaged in gaming platforms that they probably hadn't heard of before. Lots of musicians were using Twitch, which is historically a gaming platform, to transmit their DJ sets from home or whatever it might be. So I think the mainstreaming of esports, and particularly lots of traditional sports, building that element of competition into their major events is something we should continue to look out for. Again, immersive continues to dominate the major events world. I think it's also really cutting across culture and creative. The way that people engage in culture is shifting hugely. Their expectations are very high. And I think that expectation from audiences is a trend, again, that we should continue to anticipate and plan for. They want to be engaged in content. They like things that are purpose-driven. They care about sustainability. They care about inclusive programming. If you reflect on all of the things that have happened in the last 12-month cycle, I think you can expect inclusive programming. I think you can anticipate sites will think about safe spaces for people coming on site. I think there'll be probably a more considered curation to reflect what's happened to the world in the last 12 months. The other thing that's constantly changing is social. and the tools that we use to share those experiences. So, obviously Instagram has been huge, TikTok slightly taking the market. We have no idea what's going to come in after TikTok. So we don't know what we know, we don't know, but there will be something coming. And then the last thing that I think is really exciting for London is that outdoor has suddenly had this renewed enthusiasm. And London's always been very, very good at using itself as a venue, at making the city its playground. But I think because of COVID secure planning from an operational perspective, suddenly people are thinking very different about how they use the spaces around their venues, about how we use public realm and all of London's amazing icons to become the venues, or certainly ancillary sites where we might have to do testing before people go into a stadium. What's their experience? What are they doing before they go in when they're waiting for their test results? So I think those are some of the things to look out for. What has been interesting is having this pause. The industry's taken its time to think about innovation, to think about tech overlay, to think about creative ways of programming. And I think from an audience perspective, people can really look forward to some amazing, amazing events when we can come back together.
No, thank you so much. There's clearly so much for us to look forward to from so many different perspectives, and it's a really good place for us to start. And I'm sure we'll have more conversations with our members and partners moving forward. And I will ask the same question that I asked Barbara and Paul. In full disclosure, it was Georgina's idea to ask this question, so I don't want her to think I'm stealing it without giving credit. But Suzanne and Georgina, when things are almost back to normal and things start to open up, what are you most looking forward to doing when you can just get back out there and do London?
Well, I don't live in London at the moment, so I'm really, really missing it, probably as much as you are, Josh. So I can't wait to come up to London. I can't wait to even just get to Waterloo Station and kind of just be reminded of the feel, the sense of London. I'd love to go to a conference. I'd love to go to the pub, go out for lunch. But more than anything, I'd love to go to the theatre. I'm really missing the theatre, going to the West End, going to see a show. That for me, would just that exhilaration of the theatre would be great. Can't wait.
Absolutely. And how about you, Georgina?
God, so many things. I think the joy of London is the spontaneity that it allows. I want to meet my friends for a brunch and end up dancing in a totally different end of town. I've very hopefully booked some comedy gigs, a couple of music festivals for later in the year. I'm very, very hopeful I will get to go to them, but if not, they will return. And it's that shared experience. It's the roar of a crowd that simply can't be replicated in the hybrid or digital environment. I want to go to Twickenham and watch the international rugby again. And it's those big moments that obviously, I work in events, that excites me, but I want to share them with people in real life. So yes, I want to go to the theatre. I want to go to restaurants. I want to drink an expensive cocktail somewhere fabulous with you. So loads and loads that's on my list. And actually, I've already made a decision that I'm planning on doing city breaks in London. So I've booked a couple of gigs for October and November, and I've already started thinking about a hotel. So if we're not going to be traveling in the same way this year, I want to really make the moment, stay in some of these amazing hotels that we have in London and really experience, wake up in Zone 1, which I don't have the pleasure of living in, and really kind of see a different side, do a staycay in the place I call home.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all looking forward to that. Well, thank you so much to both of you. It's been really insightful. And as always, like the rest of us, Suzanne and Georgina are at the partner's disposal, so to speak. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And thank you both for your time and your insights on this session today.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you found this session insightful. I think between Paul, Barbara, Suzanne, and Georgina, you've gotten a really good look as to what the business tourism and major events team are looking forward to in the coming year. We invite you to get involved, ask questions, and really partner with us. And we want to partner with you to get London's recovery going and seeing what we can do to make London as great as it's always been. in the coming years. This is the last session of Tourism Means Business. So we also just want to take some time to thank you for participating today. We hope you found it insightful. And as I mentioned, we are here to work together for London's recovery. So please don't be strangers. And we look forward to seeing what work we can achieve together in the coming year. Thank you for your time. Good.
Thanks, everybody. That was fantastic. Well done.
Thanks.
Donna and Adam, was that a okay closing remarks?
Yeah, that was great. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. The whole thing was perfect. Really nice tempo, nice level, engaging. I was listening, although you couldn't see me. I wasn't getting what's said to June.
Can we give you and Adam big air hugs now? Because I know.
Yeah.